James Hildreth and Lewis Gregory blasted 209 runs for the 6th wicket in only 145 balls, both smashing hundreds, as Somerset came from almost nowhere to shock Durham with a 5-wicket win with 20 balls to spare, as both sides began their Royal London One-Day Cup campaign in Taunton. Mark Stoneman batted after winning the toss, but he was out at the start of the 4th over, guiding a ball from Gregory to George Dockrell. It was 25 for 2 midway through the 7th over as Callum MacLeod clipped Tim Groeneval to Colin Ingram at mid-wicket. Phil Mustard was then missed at slip by Marcus Trescothick as Durham initially struggled. They found themselves on 36 for 3 after 9 overs when Scott Borthwick was guilty of ball watching and was run out by Gregory for 6. Somerset could hardly have asked for a better start on the road to Lord's, but then they came up against Paul Collingwood in a very feisty mood. He spent a large part of his career playing 50-over cricket and knew that such a poor start could be recovered with plenty of time left to bat. He was soon finding the boundary with some quality shots, the kind so many expect from him. He struck the first 6 of the innings in the 23rd over, and it was followed by another one from Mustard to bring up the Durham 100, both batsmen into the 40s. But just as things were improving for the visitors, Mustard edged a late cut off New England Lion Craig Overton to Alex Barrow. That left Durham on 114 for 4 at the halfway stage of their innings, but Collingwood was still there and a second 6 took him to his half-century of 49 balls with 5 fours also included. The former England all-rounder enjoyed facing Dockrell, who was expensive, this the 4th maximum to come off his bowling. The run rate was being picked up now. At the halfway point, Durham may have been happy with the final total in the region of 250. The fact that they got many more than that was down to an excellent 5th wicket partnership between Collingwood and Keaton Jennings. Boundaries now began to come thick and fast, with both batsmen scoring at better than a run a ball. There was still a dozen overs to go when they brought up their size 200, the second ton arriving in 15 overs. In fact, these two added 103 in that time. Jennings had made 45 of those from 43 balls when he clubbed a short delivery from Alfonso Thomas out to Dockrell with a score on 212 for 5. 2 balls after that wicket, Collingwood made it to 100 for the 9th time in his one-day career, a career in which he scored more than 10,000 runs. He went on to make 113, only 7 short of his best. A slice drive off Overton ended his knock, Trescothick taking a fine catch in the covers, with Durham on 237 for 6 with 8 overs remaining. John Hastings, fresh from scoring 80 from 26 balls on Friday night, made 16 off 12 here before he scooped a catch to Dockrell off Groeneval. But Gordon Mutchell and Gareth Breeze ensured that their side had a very good total on the board at the end of their innings, as 51 runs came off the final 5 overs, which gave their side a total of 311 for 7 from their 50, Breeze blasting 34 off only 19 balls at the end. Somerset's reply then followed a very similar pattern. Trescothick was LBW to Graham Onions in the 2nd over. Nick Compton edged Chris Rushworth behind in the 5th. While in the 6th, Peter Trigo gave Mustard a second catch. This one off Onions as the home side quickly slipped to 21 for 3 and looked in an awful lot of trouble. They badly needed a partnership and they got one through Ingram and Hildreth, who crucially added 82 runs in 16 overs to at least keep their team in this contest. They didn't let the bad start unsettle them and kept playing their shots when they could to ensure that, in spite of those early losses, their side wasn't going to be left too far behind the required rate. But Durham were still the big favourites when Ingram was surprised to be given out stumped as he missed a sweep off Breeze on 31. And a visitors' win seemed almost certain when in the next over Barrow nicked off to Collingwood. Halfway through their reply, Somerset had scratched their way to 114 for 5 and needed a further 198 runs from the second 25 overs to earn an unlikely win. The key appeared to be Hildreth, who just completed his 50 off 67 balls with 5 fours included. There was still an awful lot for him to do from here though. Each over he managed to find the fence while Gregory settled in at the other end, although the run rate required was still up at around 8 runs per over as we entered the last 20 overs of the match. 159 were required, gettable in T20 cricket, but perhaps not with only 5 wickets in hand. Hildreth had certainly not given up though, as he cleared the rope off onions in what was becoming his best innings of the summer in all formats. Gregory had hit just 1-4 from his first 19 balls, but now he went on the attack, and this ball landed in a section of the 4,000 crowd at Taunton, who were enjoying a high-scoring contest. A few quieter overs left 116 to get off the final 15 overs, but Gregory was playing a magnificent hand, reaching his first one-day 50 off 40 balls. His previous best had been 39 made against Glamorgan last season. Thus far, the 22-year-old had struck 1 6 and 4 4s, but it was just a start for the talented all-rounder. 2 balls later, and Hildreth was at his 6th one-day 100, one which had come off 104 deliveries from which he'd struck 10 4s and 1 maximum. The partnership was now into 3 figures as well, but the rate required still stood at about 8 runs per over. Hildreth had played quite brilliantly, but was not done yet. It now didn't seem to matter whether Durham attack put the ball. Short or pitched up, these 2 batsmen now added 1 boundary after another, as well as scampering between the wickets. Unbelievably, these 2 were beginning to put their side in control of a game which had appeared lost for so long. This was about Durham's best chance of breaking this sensational stand, Rushworth missing the stumps after Gregory lost sight of the ball and set off. The visitors' heads were a little down by now. With 10 overs to go, Somerset needed 67, and with 5 left, that target had been reduced to only 18 runs, as a Jennings over went for 19, with Hildreth helping himself to a couple of 6s. While Hildreth was simply superb, he couldn't have done it without Gregory, who recorded his first ever first-team ton off only 70 balls, his second 50 coming in 30. He did it in style by hitting Rushworth for 3 successive boundaries, taking his tally to 12 overall. His 13th came next ball as Somerset reached their target in the 47th over. There were fist pumps from both batsmen, quite rightly, as they took their punishing partnership to 209, made off only 24 overs. So Somerset took the game by 5 wickets with 20 balls remaining on a day in which 626 runs were scored in 96.5 overs. The Royal London One Day Cup promises to offer plenty of entertainment. Somerset now head to Nottingham on Tuesday, while Durham go to Gosforth to take on Warwickshire on Thursday.